HFY Stories, Revel, a human-altered tale, engineering the impossible through crisis. The void of space was unforgiving. Stars, like cold, distant embers, offered no warmth to the desperate humans aboard the crippled starship Resolute Dawn. It drifted silently in the orbit of a dead world, its engines dark, its hull punctured by the ruthless debris of a collapsed asteroid field. The crew's once hopeful expedition to chart unclaimed space had become a nightmare of survival. Captain Evelyn Nash surveyed the remaining crew in the ship's dimly lit central hub. The air recycling system was on its last legs, rations were critically low, and their distress beacon had yet to garner a reply. Hope dwindled, but not for everyone. Revel Santos, the ship's head engineer, sat cross-legged amidst a jungle of exposed wiring and glowing diagnostic panels. His hands moved in a frenzy, weaving tools, circuits, and pieces of alien tech scavenged from the ship's exploration archive. Revel wasn't just human, he was altered, his body enhanced through biomechanical augmentation. Cybernetic eyes provided real-time diagnostics, an advanced neural processor let him compute faster than any unaugmented mind, and his skeletal system was reinforced to withstand forces that would crush ordinary humans. He worked tirelessly, his modifications pushing him far beyond natural limits. Revel, Evelyn said, crouching next to him. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her exhaustion. What are our odds? Can we get out of this alive? Revel didn't look up. Odds don't matter, Captain, it's about solutions. His voice had a mechanical edge, not because he lacked empathy, but because his neural implants demanded efficiency in communication. I'm engineering something new. What kind of something new? He paused, scanning her with his glowing cyan eyes. An FTL jump system. Evelyn blinked. We don't have the power, and even if we did, the ship isn't designed for faster-than-light travel. True, he replied, standing and gesturing toward a makeshift assembly of alien tech, ship systems, and strange crystals glowing faintly with quantum energy. But we do have this. Found it during our last expedition. It's alien tech. Preliminary scans suggested it could manipulate space-time. I've reverse-engineered enough to believe it can create a stable FTL field. That's impossible, Evelyn whispered. Everything's impossible, Revel said with a faint smirk, until it isn't. Hours turned into days, and the small crew did their best to assist Revel. His augmented mind coordinated tasks with mechanical precision, assigning roles and troubleshooting problems in real time. They moved power cells from non-essential systems, rerouted energy conduits, and even sacrificed the ship's weapon systems to fuel Revel's creation. The work was grueling, but for the first time since the accident, there was a flicker of hope. On the sixth day, the device was ready. Revel stood at the heart of the engine room, staring at the alien drive nestled within a cradle of reinforced titanium. It pulsed with energy, almost alive. The crew gathered behind him, nervous yet determined. This is untested, Evelyn said, her voice firm despite the tension. Are you sure it'll work? Certainty is a luxury we can't afford, Revel replied, but I'm as confident as humanly, no, post-humanly, possible. The crew exchanged uneasy glances as Revel initiated the startup sequence. Alarms blared, the ship's lights flickered, and the drive roared to life. A swirling vortex of energy formed around the vessel, warping the very fabric of space. Hold on to something, Evelyn shouted. The ship shuddered violently, panels burst, sparks flew, and for a moment, it felt like they were being torn apart. Then, silence. When the crew opened their eyes, they were greeted by a view that left them breathless. The Resolute Dawn floated in the orbit of a vibrant, habitable world teeming with life. Oceans sparkled under twin suns, and lush forests stretched across continents. Revel exhaled, his normally stoic face softening. We made it. Evelyn placed a hand on his shoulder. You did the impossible. No, Revel corrected, we did. Humans aren't defined by their limitations but by their capacity to overcome them. Crisis just gives us the push we need. The crew cheered, their spirits lifted. They had survived the impossible because one human, altered but still deeply human, had refused to accept defeat. Revel glanced at the alien device one last time. Now, he said, his mechanical eyes glowing brighter than ever, let's see what else we can engineer. HFY Stories, Revel, a human-altered tale, a new frontier. The Resolute Dawn settled into orbit around the newfound world, its systems humming with tentative stability. Revel Santos stood at the observation deck, his cybernetic eyes scanning the lush planet below. His augmented mind analyzed atmospheric data, gravitational forces, and ecological structures at speeds impossible for the unenhanced crew. "What do you think, engineer?" Captain Evelyn Nash's voice broke his concentration. Revel turned, his glowing eyes meeting hers. "It's habitable, rich in resources. The energy signatures suggest a pre-industrial alien civilization." Evelyn frowned. Contacting sentient life wasn't the plan. Neither was crash-landing and rewriting the laws of physics to escape, Revel replied, his tone neutral. "Plans change." The captain sighed, walking closer. The crew had survived because of Revel's ingenuity, but their new reality posed fresh challenges. This world offered a chance to rebuild, yet it came with unknown risks. Discovery. The crew descended to the planet's surface, wary but hopeful. The land was breathtaking, a kaleidoscope of color. Trees shimmered with bioluminescent leaves, rivers glowed faintly under the light of the twin suns, and strange creatures roamed the landscape, their eyes curious but non-hostile. Revel led the team as they set up a base camp, his augmented abilities invaluable. His neural processor allowed him to adapt the alien technology scavenged from the ship to construct power sources, environmental shields, and even basic hydroponic farms. The crew marveled at his efficiency, but some whispered unease. "Do you think he's still one of us?" whispered Liam, the ship's medical officer, to Evelyn one night. The captain glanced at Revel, who was working tirelessly under the moonlight. "He saved our lives, that's all that matters." Liam hesitated. "He works like a machine. Does he even need us anymore?" Evelyn's jaw tightened. "He hasn't given up on us, and we won't give up on him, understand?" Liam nodded but didn't look convinced. The alien encounter. On the 7th day, the aliens came. A group of tall, willowy beings approached the camp, their movements fluid and deliberate, their skin shimmered like molten silver, and their large, dark eyes reflected the stars. They bore no weapons, only curiosity. The crew froze, unsure of what to do. Evelyn stepped forward, raising her hands in a universal gesture of peace. Revel observed silently, his augmented senses scanning for threats. The aliens spoke, their voices melodic and harmonic. To everyone's surprise, their language was faintly recognizable, a mix of tones and patterns reminiscent of ancient human dialects. "Revel," Evelyn called over her shoulder, "can you translate?" "Already working on it," he replied. Within moments, his neural implants parsed the language, cross-referencing it with the alien data he'd studied aboard the Resolute Dawn. "They call themselves the Altheran," he said, stepping forward. "They know of us, or at least, they know humans." The crew exchanged startled glances. "How?" Evelyn asked. Revel's gaze didn't waver. "They say we've been here before." Unearthing the truth. The Altheran led the crew to a massive structure buried deep within the jungle, a ruined city of unmistakably human design. Rusted machinery, crumbled skyscrapers, and faded insignias told a story of a forgotten colony. "This can't be right," Evelyn murmured, running her hand over a rusted plaque that read UNSC Pioneer Initiative, 2147 CE. "That was over 2 centuries ago. Earth never reported any contact here." "Perhaps they didn't survive to report," Revel suggested, scanning the ruins. His neural processor detected faint energy readings emanating from below. "There's something still active here." Following Revel's lead, the team descended into the ruins, discovering a hidden chamber where ancient human technology still hummed with life. At its center stood a stasis pod, its occupant frozen in time. Evelyn stared at the figure inside, a man in a weathered flight suit. "Who is he?" Revel's glowing eyes flickered. "He's wearing insignias from the original Pioneer Initiative. He might know what happened here." A new mission. Reviving the stasis pod wasn't easy. The technology was archaic compared to Revel's modifications, but his determination and skill overcame the challenge. When the pod finally opened, its occupant gasped, his eyes wide with shock. "Where am I?" the man croaked. "You're with friends," Evelyn said gently. "You've been in stasis for a long time." As the man recovered, he shared his story. His name was Commander Elias Grant. and he had been part of the UNSC Pioneer Initiative. Their mission was to establish a colony, but something went wrong. The Eltherin intervened, saving a few survivors but forcing humanity to leave their world. "Why did they force you to leave?" Revel asked, his tone neutral but insistent. Grant hesitated. "We weren't ready. The Eltherin deemed us too destructive, but they let me stay, to see if we could change." Revel processed this in silence. The Eltherin had watched humanity's growth from afar, waiting to see if they would repeat their mistakes, or rise above them. Engineering the future. As the days passed, the crew integrated with the Eltherin, learning their ways while preparing to rebuild. The ruins offered valuable resources, but it was Revel's ingenuity that truly propelled them forward. He devised new technologies that blended human and Eltherin designs, creating sustainable energy sources, advanced medical systems, and tools that would ensure their survival. Despite his enhancements, he remained deeply connected to his humanity, using his abilities to empower his crew, not overshadow them. The Eltherin, once wary, grew to respect the humans, especially Revel. They saw in him a symbol of humanity's potential, not its destructive past, but its capacity for creation, adaptation, and hope. One evening, Evelyn approached Revel as he worked under the stars. "You've done more than save us," she said. "You've given us a future." Revel looked up, his glowing eyes reflecting the twin moons. "That's what humans do. We don't just survive, we engineer the impossible." Together, they stared at the vibrant world that lay before them, a world not of salvation, but of second chances. HFY Stories, Revel, a human-altered tale, the catalyst of change. The new colony, named Horizon, thrived as weeks turned into months. Thanks to Revel's integration of human ingenuity and Eltherin wisdom, the settlement expanded rapidly. The once stranded crew became pioneers, architects of a future neither they nor the Eltherin had anticipated. Yet, the deeper they delved into the mysteries of the planet and its forgotten human history, the more questions arose. Why had the Eltherin really intervened? What did they fear? And why did Commander Elias Grant seem so reluctant to reveal everything he knew? Anomalies. It began subtly. Strange energy signatures pulsed from the ruins, disrupting Horizon's power systems. The Eltherin, normally serene, grew uneasy, their harmonic voices trembling with warning. Revel stood in the heart of the colony's power plant, analyzing the disruptions. "This isn't natural," he said, his mechanical fingers gliding over a diagnostic panel. "Something's activating beneath the ruins." Evelyn joined him, her expression tense. "Could it be a remnant of the old colony?" "Possibly," Revel said, his neural implants cross-referencing historical and alien data. "But the energy pattern, it's too advanced for 22nd century human tech. This is something else." Commander Grant appeared at the doorway, his face pale. "It's the threshold," he said, his voice heavy with dread. Revel turned sharply. "Explain." Grant hesitated, his gaze shifting between Evelyn and Revel. "The threshold is a gateway, a dimensional rift. The Pioneer Initiative discovered it when they first settled here. We tried to harness its power, but we didn't understand the consequences." "And the Eltherin forced you to leave," Evelyn said, piecing it together, "to prevent a catastrophe." Grant nodded. "They feared we'd awaken something that should remain dormant." Revel's eyes glowed brighter as he processed this information. "If the rift is destabilizing, we need to act now, otherwise, it could destroy everything." The descent. Revel assembled a team to investigate the source of the anomaly. Evelyn insisted on joining him, along with a reluctant Grant and 2 Eltherin guides. Armed with a mix of human tools and Eltherin artifacts, they descended into the deepest levels of the ruins. The air grew heavy as they approached the rift chamber. The walls pulsed with alien glyphs, glowing faintly as if alive. The threshold itself was a swirling vortex of light and shadow, its edges crackling with energy. Revel approached cautiously, his neural implants analyzing the rift's structure. "It's unstable," he said, his voice calm but urgent. "The energy fluctuations are increasing. If we don't stabilize it, it'll collapse, and take half the planet with it." "Can you fix it?" Evelyn asked. "I can try," Revel said, already assembling a plan, "but I'll need time, and absolute focus." The confrontation. As Revel worked, the rift grew more volatile. The Eltherin guides chanted in harmonic unison. their voices resonating with the alien glyphs to slow the rift's expansion. Evelyn and Grant stood guard, their weapons ready. Then, the rift shifted, and something emerged. It was a shadow, vast and amorphous, its form defying comprehension. The air grew cold, and an overwhelming sense of dread swept through the chamber. "It's a guardian," one of the Altheran whispered, "a protector of the threshold. It will not allow interference." The entity surged forward, and chaos erupted. Evelyn fired her weapon, but the energy dissipated harmlessly against the creature. The Altheran harmonics faltered as fear took hold. "Revel," Evelyn shouted, "we've got a problem." "I noticed," he replied tersely, his hands flying over the control panel he'd cobbled together. "Keep it busy, I'm almost there." Grant stepped forward, his face set with grim determination. "I'll distract it, get that rift under control." Before anyone could stop him, he charged toward the entity, a glowing Altheran artifact in hand. The creature turned its attention to him, allowing the others a brief respite. The sacrifice. Revel's neural implants buzzed with activity as he finalized his modifications. He connected a power core from his own cybernetic systems to the alien machinery, stabilizing the rift's energy output. "It's done," he shouted, "we just need to seal it." But as the rift began to stabilize, the shadow entity lashed out, striking Grant. The artifact in his hand flared with blinding light, and the creature recoiled, retreating into the vortex. Grant collapsed, his body battered but alive. "Did we do it?" he murmured. Revel nodded, his glowing eyes dimming slightly as he disconnected from the machinery. "The rift is sealed, for now." The legacy. Back on the surface, the crew and the Altheran gathered to reflect on what they had witnessed. The threshold was a reminder of humanity's recklessness, and its resilience. Evelyn approached Revel, who stood alone, gazing at the horizon. "You saved us again." Revel's expression was unreadable. "This planet, this rift, it's more than we can comprehend. We need to be better, to earn the trust the Altheran have given us." "And we will," Evelyn said, "together." Revel turned to her, his mechanical eyes softening. "Together." As the twin suns set, the colony of Horizon stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the power of collaboration, and the enduring belief that even in the face of impossible odds, humanity could prevail. The end.